Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shirtless Plantain Show, the Arsenal edition. This is your host, Mitch, coming in for a real Kivior for Gabrielle situation, having me host instead of Dean. I'm joined today by Coach. Hi, Coach. How are you?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Yeah, let's talk about Arsenal disappointing.
It's always fun to talk after a game like that. And I'm also here with Gabby. Hi, Gabby. How are you?
I'm here to get all the way negative. That's what I'm here for.
There's no better time for it than after a pathetic loss. Let's get it started today by talking about the lineup. Coach, what did you think about how we were lining up for this game today?
I'll be honest. I didn't want Trossard to start. This is a type of game where he would have been very, very good off the bench, but he started him anyway, which is fine. We're shocked to see, a little bit shocked to see, I suppose, Timber going right back in as well. The Gabriel one as well. Gabriel didn't look great, and Arteta was really positive of him straight away. But I always feel like it's one of those ones where Gabriel won't ever really be honest about how he's really feeling. So yeah, but apart from that, the midfield was in the first half last week was solid. So I was like, okay, could probably do a job against Newcastle. I was wrong, but apart from that, yeah, pretty much what I expected.
Yeah, I don't know if there was all that many surprises, especially with like our players that are available and unavailable at this current moment. Gabby, did you have any surprises or anything, or was it pretty par for the course?
I don't think there's any surprises from me. I saw the party right back, and I was like, I hate that they're right. Everybody was saying he was going to start at right back, and I was like, no.
Yeah,
I
on
don't
that
want
though,
that.
Ben White wasn't again. Ben White apparently wasn't even fit again, which is I'm starting to worry now because Ben White has been an ever present, and now he's playing less games and less minutes now. All of a sudden, I don't know if
Well,
anyone's
he
noticed
did come
that.
in this game
He did,
at the end, so he was fit enough to play, but just not to start.
yeah,
I mean, it's honestly good that we're able to
yeah,
play other things if he's not 100% fit to start, because I'd rather not start him if he's not fit.
mm,
But clearly he was healthy enough to play because he did come in this game.
mm,
Um, I I mean, just like with our injuries, we had like a lot of just like cookie cutter kind of things that we had
mm.
to put together, and Five playing right back is one of those things. And yeah, let's get into the beginning of the game where I actually thought we started the game pretty well. What did you guys make of the start of the game, Coach?
Uh, First 5 minutes, I was like, okay, aggressive, direct passing, we're pressing up high. It looks good. And I don't know what it was because it wasn't tactical because Newcastle didn't actually make any tactical changes until probably around midway through the first half. And they were very slight. So I don't know what it was, but the players just decided to say, actually, no, guys, sorry, we're not on it. Basically, it was almost felt like one of those ones. In those 5 minutes, had we scored, maybe it could have been a good day for us. But maybe that first 5 minutes was as good as it got for us. Like we didn't get anywhere near that level again for the rest of the game. So yeah.
Yeah, Gabby, what'd you think?
I don't know. I feel like we talk about this a lot, but like when we're not at it at like that first 15 minutes of the game, we just take our foot off the gas and just do nothing. And that I just knew the way this game was going to go as soon as we started. Like I was like, oh yeah, it's feeling like a loss or a draw. It's not feeling like a win for sure. We did not have any creativity in that midfield. We weren't creating any chances, and we were just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again with the same pattern of just going to Martinelli or Saka, and that's it. And I was like, I don't like the way we look at all. I think the commentators were saying that we were getting Newcastle like didn't care about our press, but I didn't even feel like we were pressing that hard, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's another symptom of not having Odegaard. And maybe the most important symptom of not having Odegaard is not having him to lead the press. Because that's something he's just so good at. That like it helps everyone involved in our press when Odegaard's available. Like it helps Havertz, it helps Saka, it helps everyone to be able to like have that be more organized and overall better. I think if you looked at this game on paper and looked at the midfield of midfield of Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Willock, and Longstaff versus Declan Rice, Marino, and Trossard, you probably would give Arsenal the advantage on paper. That's not really how it played out today. Everything was very open in the midfield, and I think overall Newcastle kind of lost that area of the pitch, which led to them getting this win. Coach, do you have any more insights on the midfield battle?
Yeah, you guys might want to get a coffee. No, I'm joking. But, the first thing that really stuck out to me was how weak we looked, considering we had 2 6-foot plus strong guys, big shoulders, big frames, kind of thing. We looked, not saying the players were weak, but we didn't look like we were really up for it, for the actual battle, and that's probably what Arteta's really going to hammer into these guys in his post game, like sort of talk with them. Is like, guys, they're not stronger than you, so why are you like pussying out? Like, Joe Linton got away today with 5 fouls with no booking, kind of thing. He was putting himself about, and we just didn't respond to that. The second thing was, and I think it's probably something we'll probably have to talk about a bit later, but we weren't brave on the ball. Like Marino was pulling that wide. Yeah, Marino was pulling out wide and he was supporting Martinelli, kind of thing. But he wasn't really he wasn't really varying his moves. He wasn't really. It's not even just about dropping deep. It's about just clever movement to pick up the ball in the pocket, kind of thing. It wasn't really happening for him. And while I want to say, oh yeah, Rice wasn't doing enough with the ball, kind of thing. Like Rice, straight up and down, as a number 6 for us, Rice is a gateman. He's a water carrier. He's a garbage man, kind of thing for us in that 6 role. Like, it's not even a disrespectful way. That's what he's there to do. He's there to absolutely dominate when we don't have the ball, and then give it simple to the really, really like top talented players, kind of thing. So I can't be too harsh on him, even though I would have liked a little bit more from him on the ball. But we just didn't. It just wasn't a good. It wasn't a good balanced midfield on and off the ball to me.
Yeah. I think the physicality discussion is really interesting because this isn't new. Like this isn't news that Newcastle is going to play this way. They've been playing like this every single time we come to St. James's Park. This is something that we know as fans. This is something that players in Arteta 100% know. That they are not a technical midfield than us. They are a physical midfield, and they will make their presence known. And I feel like we didn't do enough to combat that today. Gabby, what did you think about our physicality in midfield in this game?
Oh, I agree. I mean, I like when I was watching the game, it wasn't just the physicality, because I know Mikel will be talking about the duels and stuff like that. But I feel like you have to subvert that type of game plan, like that tactical game plan of just foul and break up play and stop start, with making the right pass at the right time. And you don't have the midfielders in there to do that. You just do not. Our midfield setup and our whole setup for our team is just about like patterns. Mikel is constantly talking about patterns, about how we, have certain people do the same thing over and over and over again until we can get the right kind of play come off. And I just feel like that works most of the time, but you just need that X factor. That's somebody that can just like you saw in the second half, Declan Rice carrying the ball forward, like so far forward, all the way from our back line into that box, or on the wing trying to get something done. I think we had our first shot on target that way. And it was just like, that's nice. But I feel like if you had somebody who was a little bit more technically secure or more brave to make the brave pass into the box that Odegaard likes to do. He has the most through balls in all of Europe last year, I think. Something like that. Like, I think that's what you needed in this game. We really needed to just get past the press. Just either go over the top, and the balls over the top were just not coming off. They were either too far, or the touches were bad, or it was going directly to another defender, or we were just passing, trying to ticky-tack it in the midfield, and it just looked terrible.
Yeah,
I think this was a bit of a perfect storm where Arsenal were not only sloppy in possession and weren't as effective with the ball as they needed to be, and Newcastle were very good off the ball.
Hmm.
I was very very impressed with their press. I thought it like put us into uncomfortable positions a lot, and it coincided with us not playing well, just like not playing well on the ball and not having that through line of Odegaard. I think that they are the team that's taken advantage of us not having Odegaard the best since we've not had
Yeah.
him. Like that was the most like thorough performance of like, okay, we know exactly what Odegaard is going to do when he's in this Arsenal team, and they don't have that, and we're going to take advantage of that. And I feel like
Mm.
they did that very very effectively. Let's go down to the lone goal of this game.
Mm.
And I think it's one that you just kind of have to hold your hands up, be like, yeah, that was great. Perfect cross from Anthony Gordon, perfect header from Alexander Isak. Anything else that we should be pulling from the goal, coach?
Not just really. It's one of those goals where it's like, despite Arsenal being incredibly, abject today and just very below par, that's a goal that every single team in the world is going to concede because it's so rare. Believe it's so rare that a cross is planted right in between both centre backs, and it's met the timing of it of the run and the header. Is perfect basically. Like really and truly, whenever you see those sorts of crosses, it's either one or the other. It's either the cross is really good and there's no one there, or what do you call it? The player cross, the cross coming in is more floated. So now the defenders have time to sort of adjust themselves. But this was hit with so much pace, kind of thing, and Isak actually meets it. Normally, if the ball comes in, Isak might be half a yard early or half a yard late, kind of thing, and then it comes off his shoulder, or what I'm saying, or it hits him in the face, and then all the sting is taken out of it, kind of thing. But it was everything about it was perfect. Like that's exactly the type of goal. Unfortunately, if we're gonna concede, I prefer we concede that way because I can't really complain. Like
Yeah.
he's hit it for like Timbers is at a good distance, so he's hit it first time. Kind of, it's not like he's beaten him or anything. Like our Timber could have been stronger there. He's hit it first time. It was perfect, pretty much. That's it, really. I mean, potentially Five could have headed it up into the air, but then that creates his own problem. But again, that's just we're splitting hairs there, I think.
Yeah, I fully agree. I don't think this is a play that like there's anyone to blame. Like
Yeah.
it's not a goal where I'm able to point at an Arsenal player and be like, yeah, that was your fault. We shouldn't have conceded there. Gabby, do you agree with that?
I agree for sure. I like it's just the only thing annoying about that goal is that I feel like we always concede those kinds of goals. Not the like the perfect cross and the perfect header, but like the one shot one goal. Like we
Yeah.
always concede those, and it just is so frustrating because I feel like when I'm watching Arsenal, I'm like we need a million chances to score one or two, and teams that we play against just do the simple thing. You have a 6'4", 6'3" striker in the box, cross the ball. Like that's it. Like, and it's so frustrating to watch us concede that because I'm just like, why don't we never score those goals? Like,
To be fair, we
Uh,
have scored a couple of those, but I get what you mean in the sense that it's the only opportunity that they have, and they stick it away. I mean, you look at the James Justin double. One was deflection, the other one was a volley that he would never hit sweeter again in his
yeah.
life. but,
yeah,
but no, I'm with that because funnily enough, after that, Newcastle didn't really create anything. They had one cross from that was deflected from Timber, and literally that was it for the first half. And it was very, to me at least, I think it was the most frustrating thing about it is that normally this Arsenal team are associated with us, how resilient and how well we respond to setbacks. And this team, sorry, this performance today, I cannot help but think it looked reminiscent of a team that was very young and inexperienced and has had no idea. That was the most frustrating thing about it. And
really.
this team, we had no idea. We had no clue how to respond to anything. And I'm not saying the team are young and inexperienced. I'm saying that's what we looked like. Like we didn't have
Yeah.
any sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Even our teams didn't have any sort of response tactically. The players themselves didn't even have any sort of physical response, or just the guys, come on, let's go, let's be a bit a yard sharper kind of thing. None of that happened today. So
Yeah,
I kind of agree.
fully agreed. It was kind of just toothless going
yeah,
forward, and we kind of look shell shocked.
yeah,
Gabby, you brought up with the Isak goal of having the big man in the box and scoring a header. I don't think anyone had a good game today for Arsenal. So this isn't calling out Kai Havertz,
Mm,
but I was frustrated with Kai Havertz today, mostly based on his positioning, especially
mm,
after seeing the Isak goal of just like a classic number 9 being in that position to score. And I know that he's a little bit more of a false nine, so he's going to drop in more, and I do like that about his game. But I felt like we were vacating areas at the top of the pitch so often. Like
mm,
there was a moment later in the match after Newcastle had scored where Arsenal had a very similar play to Newcastle, but it was Kai Havertz collecting the ball out wide and crossing it into Saka
Saka,
when
yeah,
it should be the opposite. And it's the fluidity of our attack, but it's also like, hey, those roles should be switched.
mm,
Like the 6'4" guy should be the one in the box
Oh,
receiving the
I have
header,
so
and our
much to
best
say about
crosser
this.
should be
mm.
the one that's outside crossing. So I think that was another thing that was frustrating about our attack. What do you have to say about it, Gabby?
I have so much to say about this. I hate this. I hate this so much. I wish we would just do the simple things. Just do the simple things. I hate this jack of all trades but master of none nonsense. Like, and I actually am like a huge fan of Kai. So I don't blame this. I don't blame this performance on him per se. But the positioning is that genuinely instruction from Arteta. Like genuinely instruction for Arteta. I think because he only plays like that when Trossard's playing next to him. He only plays like that when Trossard's playing next to him. And he's like, oh, well, so Trossard should be the one farthest forward. You should be deeper, collecting. No, I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see that shit at all. You have a 6'4" striker in the box, and somebody has to cross the ball. This team genuinely sometimes just cannot cross the ball. And it's so mind boggling to me that we just can't find our really, really tall, like lanky German in the box who wins duels and especially aerial duels. And I'm just like, what's the point of having him up there? You might as well put Jesus in there now if you want somebody to come in deep and like float around, because that's not Kai's game. He's not a passer. He's a like come in deep and collect the ball and then hospital pass it to someone and then try to get back in position. But it just wasn't working today because that's not what we needed.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think that like, you want your striker to be playing like a striker. And so I think one of the issues, like, I mean, I'm gonna keep bringing it up because it's glaringly that we're missing Odegaard, and we're doing all this makeshift stuff to try to compensate for it, and it's hurting other players in the team. It's hurting someone like Kai.
Yeah.
It's hurting someone like Trossard, who are just kind of like in these weird hybrid roles of like, are we playing a 4-4-2 where we're playing two strikers? Is Kai playing in the Odegaard role as a right 8? I feel like it's almost not even clear to them, and it makes our attack suffer. And we saw it today with a very toothless performance. Coach, do you have anything on the tactical rotations up top?
Yeah, I just feel like it's easy to say, oh, it's all come to head now. When it worked for a whole half against Liverpool, we absolutely
Mm-hmm.
battered PSG with it. Who else was there? Obviously we had to make do against Leicester, against Southampton as well, kind of thing. So it's easy to say, oh yeah, it's just not working out. But simple fact is, when we went a goal down against Southampton, kind of thing, Havertz stepped up. Like simple fact is, Havertz stepped up. You know, he was there in the position to receive the ball from Saka on the shoulder of the last defender and then puts into the back of the net, kind of thing. And it's just that it's one of those days today where, despite me thinking the team was absolute dog shit today, I'm not ready to all of a sudden just throw the idea out that we're wrong to sort of play with the hybrid sort of 4-2-4, 4-4-2 kind of thing, because there's incredible merit in it. Tactically alone, it shields a lot of players, and it shields a lot of these weaknesses that we've had as well. Even if, for example, just with the midfield last week against Liverpool, 5 inverted kind of thing, and we outnumbered them. Havertz dropped in. Trossard played a little bit higher kind of thing, and we outnumbered them. Was able to progress the ball kind of thing. Today it didn't work, and I know exactly why it didn't work, because Newcastle just went man for man in terms of their 4-4-2 shape and our 4-4-2 shape kind of thing. Very simple. Had Newcastle done that without the goal, it would have been a boring 0-0. It would have been a stalemate kind of thing. What made it so bad is that the break that they got, they put away. So while I'm in agreement that definitely, I would like to have seen a bit more from the players kind of thing. The system itself didn't work today, but I'm not ready to shit can it personally. I just think it's a different profile players. Or Trossard to me could have easily been switched out today for the energy that we lacked. Could have been easily switched out today for Wanyeri or Jesus, believe it or not. Either one of them, I wouldn't have really cared because one of them they all would have saw the pitch today anyway. And I just feel like, it's more the players today more than anything, with Arteta holding blame for some of the decisions tactically.
Yeah. Switching gears a little bit, I think in games like this where we kind of struggle to create things from open play, we've had a very nice crutch to lean on in terms of our set pieces as a very a focal point of our attack. It was a little bit of a struggle today. It was not our best set piece performance.
Understated.
I think Saka took one corner the entire game, and that was just because there was one corner on the side that he takes it. So it was mostly Declan Rice taking the set pieces. And while I think Rice had a pretty good 6 performance today, he did not have a great set piece performance today. Gabby, what did you make of this?
That was making me tear my hair out. Like, I was just watching him put, like, and I felt like we were doing the same set piece over and over again, too, until the second half. It was like, go far post or put it on top of the goalkeeper, and it just wasn't working. And I was just like, let's try near post, or let's try, like, get it to somebody at the top of the box, or I don't know. Let's switch it up a little bit because this is not working. And the balls that were just going into the box were either getting cleared easily, or I think we only had one chance where Marino tries to get like a bouncing ball and kick it into the net and it gets blocked. Fair enough. But like the rest of them were just bad. Like they were just bad. Overhit or underhit, going right to the goalkeeper, cleared easily. It was just really bad. Like it was just really bad.
Yeah, and it was out of character to see it be this bad. An interesting thing I noticed was that Kai was playing the Ben White role of like blocking the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
you're 6'4", man. Go for the header. like have someone else do that.
I just feel like when this set piece has worked well, it's either him backing up Gabriel or Gabriel backing him up kind of thing. So it's like, oh, Gabriel doesn't get it, then I'm there kind of thing. And it's just like, yeah, that was strange. But it was, I think, definitely the delivery itself. Coming off what Declan Rice produced last week to this week, you'd think it's two different players. You'd think there's no way this is the same player. So yeah, very, very weird.
I do think that Rice played well as a 6 today. Like particularly in those first 15 minutes prior to the goal. Where we were kind of controlling the game a lot more. There was a couple tackles that he had to regain possession that I thought were really, really good. And obviously, I don't know, like you talked a little bit earlier about like our ball possession and our progression in midfield, and that wasn't really there. But as a defensive 6, he was phenomenal. And Newcastle really didn't create much outside of the goal. You know?
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement with you in the sense that when Declan Rice defending, I don't even need to worry. Like no one's worried. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the level of player he is. When he's in transition or even just a 50-50, there's nothing to worry about kind of thing. But again, it's not solely on him. No midfielder on earth can do it all. Not even Rodri or whatever. Like nobody can do it all. They're gonna need help in parts of your game. Because he's not real. He's not real. He's not real. He's a figment of our imagination, to be honest. But yeah, so I digress. I digress. Declan, like your point is spot on. Like Declan Rice defending was fine. It's the other parts of the midfield that really, we struggled with.
Yeah, absolutely. So we went into halftime down 1-0. You'd hope that we would come out in the second half kind of energized and ready to go. And then it was kind of just more of the same. A lot of lethargic attacks, sloppiness.
Shocking, I know.
Losing the ball, not being physical enough. Gabby, did you see anything at the beginning of the second half that, or were you just like, no, this is going to be a game we lose? Because that's kind of how I was feeling.
Like I said, in the beginning, in the first half, I knew how this game was going to go. And Mikel, I think we lamented him like last week on the pod that we were saying that he just waits too long to make changes. did the same thing. We just like as soon as they came out and it said no changes, I said, we've lost this. Like we've lost this. I feel it in my bones. And then he wasted 15 minutes where they did nothing. And we honestly looked worse in the first half. In those 15 minutes, because Newcastle was all over us, and I was just like, please make a sub. Save yourself and make a sub, or save the players that are on the pitch and make a sub, because some of them, I always talk about this, but I just feel like Mikel's really bad at protecting players who are out of form or looking terrible. Like he wants them, get them back on the pitch and like get them going again, and that's just they can't all do that. They don't all have those personalities to just play through it. And I think he needed to protect Trossard and just take him off. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Like, Trossard looked horrible in this game. Genuinely a disaster class. And I'm not one of those people who constantly shits on him. I think Trossard is a really good player and, like, he has a really good profile that we need. But, like, he just has been, specifically in the last month, he's been an enemy of progress. Like, genuinely.
I agree with your point. I don't think he was very good today. Which leads us into the subs, because it was Marino and Martinelli that came off for Ethan and Zinni. And I think that based on how Trossard was playing, I think that there could very easily be a little bit of like, hey, why didn't you take him off instead of Martinelli? I think that my thought process of like, if you're starting Trossard, keeping him on is like, he could be dropping a terrible game, but he finds those goals. Like, he is just a clutch goal scorer and has that in him. It hasn't been there for last month, 100%. He has not been in great form. But he has that in, like, that kind of gene in him where I completely understand keeping him on and taking Martinelli off. But what did you guys think about this first substitution? Coach Ethan Wanyeri came on, great performance in midweek against Preston.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, while obviously I always want to see like Haaland play kind of thing, funny enough, you know, I would have been okay with him not getting minutes today had it been at 0-0 regardless, because it was such a difficult game and there was no space. And I feel like it's one of those games where it could have went, it didn't go bad for him because, you know, the team was abject already. But let's just say it was 0-0 and bring him on and nothing happens now. Kind of feels like, oh, you know, he's got on there and he's done nothing with it. And it's like, we've forgotten about Preston now. And it's now the Newcastle game we're thinking of because that's the last game he played and he did nothing in it kind of thing. Where today it's like, yeah, we're throwing a Hail Mary kind of thing. So he needs to come on kind of thing. So yeah, I was pleased with what I saw because obviously he's a higher player, but there's nothing there to really write home about. The other sub I was actually quite interested in was Zinchenko, because it's clear we had a discussion in the group chat, and it's clear that there was progression issues from the midfield in general. Like I was mentioning about Marino, you know, even a little bit of Rice kind of thing. There was clear progression issues, not just about getting the ball forward, because Martinelli and Saka both saw the ball a lot and they both stunk. You know, like not in a messed up the action sort of way. Well, Martinelli was a bit, but Saka just wasn't effective. So getting the ball to those players was fine, but it's the speed and the volume of the times that we get the ball to those players, and that's where I really felt like, yeah, Arteta has he took too long to actually be brave enough to change it. In the last 5-10 minutes of the first half, all of a sudden 5 is coming in field and the ball's getting punched between the pockets, and it's like, okay, we're gonna carry this on. Second half starts. And it just stops again. Like he's trying to get on the ball kind of thing, but nothing's happening to him. He waits another 10-15 minutes and then brings on Zinchenko. And it's just like, I would have made Zinchenko sub at half time personally. Do you know what I mean? Like I would have made that sub at half time if you could see a clear opportunity there. That was what really disappointed me with Arteta. The timing of the subs and the fact that you recognise the problem in the first half, you saw it. He was getting some joy of it and just fucked it off. That was
yeah.
That.
No, for sure. And I also think that I like the idea of the sub a lot. I think that it maybe should have been 5 and not Marino that came off, just to go a little bit more attacking of like, you know, not putting Declan Rice further forward and keeping Marino on, because he's a little bit more of that like option in terms of like a header. Like our biggest chance in the second half was a Declan Rice header. Exactly. I think if Marino's there,
potentially
maybe it goes in. He's a little bit better than at that than Declan Rice in an attacking sense. But I agree. I fully liked bringing Zinchenko on while we're chasing a game and stuff like that, and having him invert to try to fix those progression issues. With Ethan, I was thrilled to see him. I think a lot of Arsenal fans are like really want him to start a game like this, and I fully agree. I don't think that this was a game for him to start. We saw just in the physicality as soon as he came on, Willock fully just like dove into him and just like, welcome to the game, pal.
That was kind of crazy. I can't lie.
Yeah, I can't lie. My Tim 4 hat is on. I'm thinking Willock looks a bit jealous. No, seriously, that looked like a jealous tackle to me. Like he's seen.
You're hating. That's crazy.
There's no need for it. You're literally you've got like a whole foot on Wanyeri. Like Willock is a big guy. You've got a whole foot on him, and literally you're flying in at like shin level all of a sudden on a 17-year-old. Have you lost your goddamn mind?
If you're listening to this is just his opinion. I do not.
Absolutely,
I love you, Joe.
No, that's the baby. What do you mean? You kicked him. That's absolutely mental. I personally thought that was a Bruno Guimaraes tackle. Then I look up and see his Willock. I'm like, this is your brother. This is your brother. What do you mean? You've both been through the same halls at Hayland. You've both ate the same
out there.
You both said hello to the same dinner lady at Hayland. What is this?
Now I'm thinking about like when Joe left Arsenal.
Yeah.
Ethan was like literally a fucking child. He was like 13. He was like 12 or 13.
That's what makes it even worse.
Crazy.
I mean, it's like that in itself was like an example of like, yeah, maybe you don't want a player like that. And Coach, what you were saying, like this is a game that didn't have much space. Ethan didn't really have much space to work in. There was one point in the game where like he didn't get on the ball as much as he did like against Leicester when he came as a sub. He had one shot opportunity and it was like, yeah, take one from outside the box, 100%. We know you can score those, and we need something. So yeah, take that shot. He didn't hit the target. It happens. But it was a tough game, but it's also like, I don't know who else we would have brought in that situation because we started Trossard. It was like a situation where we needed some kind of attacking spark. He's like the player that should be able to bring that. But I do have to just give so much praise to Newcastle. I think they played tactically so well today, and just were everywhere they needed to be at all times. Let's look ahead after this disappointing loss. It's now a run of 3 games in the Premier League that have not been fun.
Sorry, can I ask? Are we gonna talk about Martinelli, or we can leave it?
I have things to say about Martinelli if you want to talk about him.
Oh, please.
Things to say about
so sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm kind of more asking. I know what you've got to say, Gabriel. I'm just kind of more asking.
I have to say.
I'm kind of asking Mitch, to be honest. I've got a few thoughts, but I'm kind of curious to see what Mitch says has to say because it's.
I thought he was fine today. Like there was like I like. Is that a wrong opinion? I don't know.
But it's not. I'm actually relieved.
I feel like you guys have been like texting about this and it's like teeing up something. I don't know what's going on.
No, not even. I'm just, bottom of my heart, I am relieved that you have something completely different to say because I'm actually curious because I'm not as down on him as most people kind of thing. So I'm curious to actually hear what you have to say on this. So carry on, sir.
I'm also not super down on Martinelli. I truly don't think that I have like anything specific to say about him. I thought that like it was just like, yeah, everyone was kind of meh and he was kind of meh. But do you guys think he was like awful or did you think he was?
Would you like to go first?
I'll go first just so like people can be ready for what's gonna come next. But put it like this, he was completely and utterly out of ideas and confidence today. And part of it, I blame on himself just not having the quality today, but also blame on the fact that our attack was a mess. And if we think about Gabriel Martinelli's best attributes, it's running with the ball into space. It's running into space without the ball. It's running at defenders in the box. Like, what he does outside the box, I'm still not really convinced with, but getting him the ball in those areas, like in that, on the edge of the box, but you're close to the corner flag and you're now driving at defenders in the box, that's where Martinelli is just frightening. He's one of the worst players you can hope to play against. And he was completely and utterly shut down today, and it kept on happening to him over and over again. Now, I say to his credit, mentally, he kept on going, which is good. Sometimes you see players when they know they're not getting a change out of their fullback, that's it for them. That's genuinely, and they check out the game. They come off at 50 minutes. The gaffer's like, yeah, whatever kind of thing. But he kept on going. But my worry for him personally is the fact that he's stringing these performances together way more consistently than he's stringing good performances together, and that's where we have to be honest and say, look, maybe I'm not saying he needs to come out of the team, but maybe we need to start thinking about how we get more out of him. And if we're not going to get more out of him, then yeah, by all means, yeah, look for a different option in the squad. But for now, I genuinely feel like this is a incredibly critical time in his particular personal season right now, because we haven't won in 3. We're not scoring a lot of goals, not creating a lot of chances, kind of thing. And he's supposed to be one of our guys. That's like Martinelli. You're daring that in the team to be that guy for us, and that's where I'm thinking like Arteta's probably looking at him thinking, I need more from, like, I genuinely need more from you. Like that's where I'm at with it. But yeah, Gabby, you can scorch the earth now. I've fertilized that you can scorch it. It's fine.
I laughed at Mitch because like there's a lot of games where you watch players and you're like your head is hot, and then you watch it back if people watch it back. But when you watch it back, you're like, oh, you're not as bad as I thought. No. Martinelli has been like this for months. And I have been very adamant about how I think I have faith in him to like try to get it back this season, because last season was just like a one-off after the incredible season he had before that. But now it's looking like it's so obvious that he is the weak link in that front three. Like because Trossard's not a starter. You know, we can say whatever we want about Trossard not playing well or whatever, but he's never supposed to be a starter. Martinelli's supposed to be a starter. He's supposed to be our guy, and he's so clearly not on Saka's level. And there's not that many players who are. But if you need to come up with a moment of magic always from Saka, and it cannot always be from him, like it can't just go down the right side and that's it. It has to also go down the left. And he got the ball a lot. We were talking about last season how we just weren't giving him the ball a lot, not in the right positions, whatever. And now he's getting the ball a lot, and I'm just like, that acceleration is gone. You can't get past your man. The crosses are, if you're even getting a cross in, the crosses are terrible. And I'm just like, what is the plan here? What's the plan here? Because it's feeling very much when I watch him, he's a roadrunner. That's what he is. He's a roadrunner. He just runs around a lot and tries to like do off the ball work. And I'm just like, you're supposed to be our most clinical finisher in our front line, because we all know Kai's not a clinical finisher. He'll put the ball into the back of the net, but he's not our most clinical, and neither is Saka. But that's supposed to be Martinelli. He's not taking shots, and he's constantly, in my opinion, losing the ball now. He's constantly getting the ball taken off his toes because his thinking is just so much slower than his body. It's so much slower than his body. There's so many times in one game where he will try to run past his man and then slow it down and then lose the ball. Or he'll just try to sprint past his man and the ball, and they'll put themselves in front of between him and the ball, and they'll like ride it out, or they'll clear it, or they'll pass it to another person. It's tiring to watch over and over and over again. And I'm just like, you spent the whole summer telling us we need X Factor, we need X Factor, we need X Factor. And then you didn't go get a forward. Oh, wait, you got Sterling last minute. And I was like, you're putting a lot of your faith in Martinelli and Jesus to turn it on this year, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. I don't know. I genuinely don't know how to help him, because I know we don't have Calafiori right now. He's out. He's been in and out of the team so far, and Mikel Merino is just now getting integrated into the team. So we'll see when they all start together what we look like. But his confidence has to be terribly low right now. It has to be terribly low right now.
Yeah, I think you bringing up like the people around him is an interesting point, because I think that's been the argument that people who, like for me, like who was a big fan of Martinelli, I've been wanting to see like this kind of more consistent environment around him, and it's been tough to see this kind of like regression from him. And but it's also a situation where we are so injured and our team is not like I don't know if we're going to see our best 11 together this season. I just don't know if that's going to happen based on how these injuries are going because it's kind of one in, one out at this point. And it's on the players that if you are in a title winning team, a team that wants to win the title, you need to be able to play regardless of who's around you. You need
Correct.
to be able to succeed. And if you are a world-class player, like someone like Bukayo Saka, you can survive in any environment of like it doesn't matter if it's Xhaka, if it's Declan Rice, if it's Marino, if it's Fabio Vieira, if it's Odegaard, if it's Wanyeri. It doesn't matter who's playing at the left eight. You got to be able to play well, or have like when you get the ball, good things happen. And you're right. We've seen more runs of bad games from Martinelli than we've seen runs of good games, and it's been concerning to watch. And then you also brought up the Sterling and Jesus thing of when they've come in, hasn't been all that much better. Trossard hasn't even been that good when he's played on the left. So it's a little bit of a black hole for our team right now.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the right side being so much better than the left side for 2 years now. And it's, you talk about it enough times and it's maybe just a statement of fact as opposed to a run of form. And it's something that majorly needs to be fixed within this team and has been for a while. To kind of go into a bigger discussion about Arsenal, we're now, assuming City wins today, we will have an 8-point deficit in the table here in the 2nd of November, which is great. How are you guys feeling about the title race as a whole at this point?
I might be the only one in my group chat that a separate one from Dean and the rest that hasn't given up. Everyone else is thrown in the towel pretty much. And I don't blame them. I absolutely don't blame them. But I'm looking at it this way. I said at the top of the season, there was a really popular tweeter. I've forgotten his name now, but he said we're gonna need. He said, "Oh yeah, Arsenal this season are gonna need to blitz the first half of the season, kind of thing, and then try to and then keep it steady second half of the season." And I just said that's never happening. It's never happening. We're going to have a very similar start to this season that we had last season. And we have. Up until last week, our record was exactly the same at this point.
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same. You could see it happening already. Euros and Copa Summer, that was the best we could hope for, on top of the actual fixture list as well. All these tough away games. So that's, if you want to call it copium, if you want, the fact that I have not been shocked at all about any of this, like that's copium there. And the fact that we've had our 3 winless run this season in November, October going up into November, basically means that we've been broken. I don't mean broken like, it's done. It's in the sense that Arteta is probably going to go back to the drawing board in some regards, which can only be a good thing.
He must.
Yeah,
he must.
Genuinely, that's why I'm never too down on my luck with Arsenal these days, because as frustrated, this is the most annoyed I've been of us losing a game probably since we beat United last season. We remember how bad we was that game, even though we won. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up on point. Sorry. So, but yeah, I'm not giving up. I still think that the title was there for us to be won. Absolutely, we're not the only ones with injuries, and these teams haven't actually felt the effect of it just yet. We were coping with it, but we're coping with it going at 100% while not being 100%. What's the word? Staffed right now, if that makes sense. Right, we're coping with it well. The PSG game was a big highlight, and whatever else. First half against Liverpool as well. Now let's see how the rest of these teams cope with their injuries when they might get through it today. But what about next week and the week after, kind of thing? And they're still missing players and they're having to go 100% without their best players. Let's see how they could. So we've been broken. That's the bottom line. We've been broken, and Arteta's gonna have to find something to fix us and rejuvenate us, kind of thing. And by the time we get there, these other teams might be going through their bad runs of form as well. So that's where I'm at with it.
Absolutely. Gabby, how you feeling?
I will say I'll be, like I said, I told you I was going to be negative. At the beginning of the season, I already said we didn't do enough in the summer for us to win the title. And when I say do enough, I mean reinforce that you want to win it by going out and getting some big attacking talent. I think we really, really, really needed somebody in our midfield who was an attacking midfielder, an Eze or someone, and we also needed to upgrade the left wing. Personally, that's what I thought we needed, because you're putting all the onus on Odegaard and Saka to lift us over again, and our defense to be just as good as they were last season. And we got a lot, kind of a lot of injury luck last season. Most of the our 11 stayed fit for most of the season, and that is not happening this season at all. We're getting a lot of bad luck with the red cards and the injuries, especially in the same position, multiple injuries in the same position in left back, which is crazy. And I just cannot see us winning it at all. I just cannot see it. I think the best case scenario is that City win it again. The worst case scenario is that Liverpool win it this year. Genuinely, that would be the worst case scenario. And I say worst case because
we're coming above. We're coming above Liverpool, guys. Like let's
no.
not.
I don't think that they're going to win it. But I'm saying like think about it. That would be the worst case scenario for us because it's his first year in the league. And he won it before Arteta. Especially when you're 5 years into your plan. This should be the year that we're actually last year should have been the year that we won it, but this year should be the year that we're winning it, and you didn't reinforce anything in the attack, and that just shows me that I don't think he doesn't have the plan of what he wants to do in the attack, and it's frustrating to me. It's frustrating to me, and I'm watching us get through these at the beginning of the season, just kind of get through it. And that's fair enough because, like I said, we have injuries. But at a certain point, we have to click. We have to figure it out. And it's looking like we're not going to figure it out. And that's the most frustrating thing. I'm okay with us getting a little bit more open in the way that we play and conceding a little bit more shots if we create more offensively. Because you're gonna see that when you play certain players. If you play certain players like Sterling, who is not tracking back or whatever, they want to get forward and they're not going to get back. But I feel like we're not. I feel like we're not even playing attacking football. We're not even playing interesting football. We're just in a malaise right now. We're in a malaise, and I hate to see that. It's all boring and predictable.
Can I ask? I feel like we had this in our season preview, but can I ask again in terms of upgrading our attack, which I'm not opposed to. I'm a child of Arsene Wenger. I'm always going to be way more attacking than defending. But who is your personal pick for a left forward, should I say, to upgrade the attack? Bearing in mind that the last 2 years, to my mind, we've broken our goal scored record in the league, and it's not just about scoring superfluous goals where it's just for the sake of it, the season's done or whatever. It's in crunch time, we're putting up 4s, 5s, 6s kind of thing. So if your team's able to do it in that sort of environment, there's proof year on year now. 2 years isn't a fluke. Upgrading Arsenal's attack is a lot harder than upgrading Chelsea's or Man United's, even Liverpool's, to be fair. So I just want to know, again, who stands out to you as the guy that there's no guarantees in football, but you feel most confident about coming in and being the guy. That's what I'm curious to know, because I have a couple names, but I still have huge question marks over their head. So
I think everybody's going to have a question mark over their head unless you're getting them from a proven team. They've shown it for 2-3 years or something like that. If you were to get a Rodrigo on the left wing, of course, everybody would take a Rodrigo. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I'm thinking you said we scored 88 goals last season, right? I think, or 81 goals last season. 89, yeah. So
no, actually, I think it was 90 actually.
We got at least to 90, I think, close to 90. So we scored all those goals, but we had multiple games where nobody scored. You know what I mean? Those are the games I'm thinking about, not the 5-0s, not the 6-0s. I'm thinking about the games where nobody scored.
There was 4 games last season. No,
it was Newcastle away, Villa at home, and City away.
And we had multiple chances in those. 4. It wasn't the chance creation last season. We were creating a lot of chances and nobody was putting the ball away. And what I'm thinking in my head is, who can we get available that is if we only create one chance, which is we won't only create one chance, but if we only create one chance, who can put that one chance away? You
Yeah,
have to go and get somebody who is an upgrade on Martinelli, and I don't think an upgrade on Martinelli is as the pool for that is as small as you think. That's what I'm
yeah,
thinking. I'm thinking about the
and I'm
upgrade on
okay with
Martinelli
that.
and Jesus. So I'm
I'm
thinking
okay.
about like I know people are saying that Nico Williams doesn't score that much, and that's fine. But I also think he creates a lot. I think he creates a lot.
Doesn't
I
really.
would personally like a I would like to like show me something and get me like a maybe for next season, but we'll see, like a Kvaratskhelia or something, somebody who can create their own shots, who can dribble a little bit, and who can shoot. I need somebody who can do multiple things and won't just get stuck, even if they're isolated on that wing, won't just get stuck and not know what to
And
do.
that's fine. That's fine. But he's nowhere near as quick as Martinelli, and that's the issue. Like
And that's fine, and that's
the
what I'm saying.
pace.
You're gonna lose something,
You
and
don't
I
have
want
to though.
pace.
I don't think you do. I don't think
You're
you get.
gonna lose something. You're gonna lose something,
I don't
whether
think you
it's
do
scoring
because
or pace.
you get Kvaratskhelia on the left wing, and you have Saka on the right wing. Those two are essentially. If we're gonna play that way, then we have to essentially go and buy Haaland. That's the point. Like we'd
I
have
mean,
to.
go get Gyökeres then.
Yeah. Well,
That's the question.
I don't. This is probably a discussion for another day. But if we're gonna go and get Cravo, then yeah, by all means, we literally would have to say, okay, Kai, thank you for your help. You're going to the bench now because there's no way we're playing with those two wide players and Havertz. It would be. It's not happening. No, I couldn't see that happening. Genuinely, we'd have to. My pick, personally, my pick would probably be the guy that sunk us today, which would be Isaac because of the versatility and because of the fact that we know
On
he
the
scores
left
goals.
wing,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Like
I'm not a fan of putting strikers on the wing, but
he's been doing that. I mean, we put Aubameyang there, and Aubameyang is nowhere near as good a player as him. You know,
And
so
Abba was
and that
a
was
pretty good
horrible.
left
On the
winger.
wing on the wing
no, no,
was
no, no, no.
terrible.
He wasn't a good winger. He was a great goal scorer, and we put him there
Exactly.
because of we platformed him where it was like you finish the chances, you come in late, you finish the chances, which is what we'd probably need from Isaac kind of thing. But Isaac can create his own shot way more regularly than Aubameyang. I won't disrespect to say that he couldn't create his own shot, but Isaac creates his own shot a lot more regularly. But yeah, I think it was a great discussion on that part. I'm happy to leave that part there. So
Yeah, I kind of wanted to say
go on.
my piece on the where we're feeling on the title race.
Yeah.
I think I'm in the middle of you guys because I feel like you guys are on very different ends of the spectrum. I'm probably still a little bit more in coach's direction because I am just kind of always an optimist. But I think just generally, like my general feeling has been it's felt like a chore to watch Arsenal in the last month.
Genuinely.
I have truly not enjoyed, like outside of the PSG game, I think it is like the only game where I like enjoyed watching us in the last month. And I think that this is the first season where the stress of the title race is really getting to me personally. And I think this is a sentiment that I feel like a lot of fans can kind of get behind. Of 2 years ago, we were in the title race, and it was a very low pressure title race for us because it was a surprise. Like even the most optimistic Arsenal fan did not expect us to finish second and almost win the title 2 years ago. Last year, it was, okay, we know we're in a title race off the jump. And at least for me, I was in a spot where I just wanted to enjoy the ride. And I feel like I did. I fully enjoyed last season. The end of last season hurt. Like the final day, even just like having hope for a little bit, it hurt. And then going into year 3 of a title race, I personally have expectations, and it's made watching Arsenal more stressful for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to be in this position. I want Arsenal to be in a position where we feel like we can't afford to lose any game no matter what the situation is. But it makes for a less enjoyable fan experience when every single game feels like the Champions League final. And at least for me, I've just like, it's like, oh shit, I have to wake up at 6:30 tomorrow morning and watch Arsenal against Newcastle. Great. And it's not like an excitement of like, oh, I know my team's gonna kick ass tomorrow, and I can't wait to wake up to watch them. And it feels more like a drag this season, and I think it's because of and this is maybe just me projecting, but it's also just what's going on inside my head of just having expectations of we've got to win something this year. Now, that's not saying like if we don't, Arteta needs to be fired or anything. Like that's not how I'm feeling or anything. But it's like, you know, this is year 3 of a title race. We know how good this team is. We know how good these players are. We shouldn't be talking about can Martinelli start for Arsenal. We should be talking about how many goals should Martinelli score for Arsenal, and like not struggling for our depth, but like, you know, having someone like Gabriel Jesus playing like we know he can. And so it's been frustrating to watch this year of like seeing a team that is objectively so talented struggle to reach that. And I still think I think I'm still with you, Coach, on like I don't think it's gone. An 8-point gap right now in November looks daunting, but I do think City are vulnerable. And so if we get our shit together sooner rather than later, I don't think all is lost because it is a long season.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of pressure, particularly coming from fans, of feeling like we can't lose any game. When a game like today, we have not talked about refs a single time.
Yeah.
I would much rather lose like this.
I do not know who the ref's name is. I actually have no idea who this guy is. Genuinely.
I think it was Jerry Gillett.
I thought he did a great job.
Jared Gillett was on the VAR. I know who that cunt is.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it's lovely to not talk about refs, but it's also frustrating in the same vein because it's like, well, we don't have to talk about refs today, but it's also we didn't play well, and that's why we lost, which is a excuse that I like more than like, oh, well, if the ref called this penalty, then we would have won the game.
Yeah.
But it's still just like a frustrating position to be in. I don't feel like all is lost, but I feel like we can get there. But I'm not having fun being an Arsenal fan right now.
I'm straight up not having fun right now.
I feel like we're all. I feel like this is probably the first time I can say we're all in agreement with something, like almost 100%, and we can all say that Arsenal just genuinely and Arteta are underperforming, regardless of the injuries.
I think they're all jaded.
Yeah, and I think injuries also obviously will play a part, kind of thing, but. I don't think there's any excuse for the performance today. I don't think there's any excuse for the performance against Shakhtar, to be honest, as well.
That one was horrible.
So yeah, like I'm, you know, if I wanted to really put on my, you know, my negative hat, I'd be like, yeah, fuck, playing like this, there's no way we win the title. Like genuinely, like how can you win the title playing like that? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But you know what they're saying about, you know, it's always darkest before dawn and shit like that. Like we still have Odegaard to come back. We still have, you know, Mr. Akuka de Pasta to really bed in and not play like a hooligan. That's my guy, honestly, man. Mitch, can you step in for him? You look like him as well, bro. You're left-footed, right?
I'm very much. I'm zero-footed, actually. I'm like a rare player.
Both these days.
Nah, he looks like a left-footer.
I do feel like there's room for optimism, but it's not like, you know, what they call it, toxic optimism. There's just room for optimism because, like Mitch said, we still are a really good team. Like, that's just the baseline is we are a good team, and the reason why we feel this way is because the standards that have been set, they're not like frivolous standards. No, they're standards that we know can be met. We've improved year on year. We spent the money as well. The manager's more experienced. The way teams even set up against us lets us know we're a serious team. So, yeah, Arteta, please, my money, Martinelli, don't waste my fucking money.
I think we can all say declaratively that whatever our expectations are for this team, their expectations for themselves are higher.
Yeah.
And so I can sleep easy knowing that. We've got 2 tough games coming up this week, opportunities to bounce back, away at Inter and against Chelsea in the Premier League.
You will not see me. I promise you I will not be on that pod. I will not be on that pod.
Like we need another Chelsea game where we just smack the shit out of them and get the vibes up again. I'm not saying we will, but I just need that, you know. For me personally, I need another game where I'm watching and just cackling because it's just funny watching a 5-0. But thank you guys so much for toughing it out after this horrible game. Thank you all so much for listening. This was good therapy. This is good therapy. I'm feeling better now.
Yeah.
And thank you all for listening, and you guys know what to say.
Peace.
Take your shirt off. Take your shirt off.